Shadow and I are standing on the dam of the Upper Enterprise Reservoir. And we were camping way over there, way beyond those people, way over there last night doing astrophotography. I shot a galaxy, and then I got on my little Chroma scooter and scootered around to this side of the reservoir. I just wanted to check it out to see if this might be an interesting place to rock hound today. And right off the bat, I found this very interesting. You're not going to be able to see it. I'll clean it up. But it's very botryoidal. It looks to have some banding in here that's covered with something siltish. And as I examined this rock, all of this rock, there's a lot of stuff going on in this. So it's worth exploring. So I thought we would start right here at the bottom and then make our way up and explore all throughout there. That's got to be Chalcedony. What is it? How is it formed? Where is it coming from? There's some more right there. This looks to be just rock on the bottom, and then it's got this botryoidal stuff going on. I really don't know if this is anything. Well, look at that. I'll tell you what, we're going to take this back to the Laboooratory and figure out what it is and what it looks like inside. This is steep. Taking it slow and easy. Okay, here's a clue. Good clue, big clue. This rock right here. You can see Chalcedony, and it's botryoidal. It's formed inside there, like a vein of it right through here. So this rock is the host from which that stuff we looked at earlier, this kind of rock, this is where it's forming in, and it tumbled down. We found it down there. And again, you know, what is this rock? We'll take a piece of it back to the Laboooratory, see if we can figure it out. Just take a chunk right there. Just take a piece like that. Man, that looks volcanic to me. You know, this is true rock hounding. I have no idea what we might find. We may not find much of anything, but the area, I have found cool stuff in the general area, so you would think I'll probably find something somewhere. Water's very low for this time of year. We're having a drought. We need rain in southern Utah, big time. Well, check this out, Obsidian. That is definitely Obsidian. Very glassy and sharp. Native Americans made knives and arrowheads and different tools out of this stuff. Obsidian is volcanic rock that cooled very rapidly. So rapidly you didn't have time to crystallize it all. It's cooled into just like a glass. Very, very rich in silica. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign. So on the way last night to where we camped, I pulled over to give Shadow a little break off of Highway 18 at a trailhead, and I got out of the truck. I was literally standing in front of the truck, and I looked down, and a snake went right between my legs. And it went under the truck. So I looked at it under the truck, and identify that it was not a rattlesnake, and kind of shoot it out from under the truck because I didn't want to run over it when we left. And another lady came off the trailhead, and while she was looking at the snake with me, another one showed up. There were two of them. I think we were right next to a snake den is what we were. I tell you, that was a shock when it went right between my legs. And now, as we approach and start to go up this side, this orangish reddish rock is for sure volcanic, and this is tuff, and that is the result of ash, volcanic ash, spewed from a volcano, piled very, very deep, sometimes miles deep, and then it compresses and it cements together to form tuff. And there's a lot of tuff in this area, and big tuff hills and cliffs, made of tuff. Well, I gotta tell you, I've been stumped. I mean, we started on the other side of that hill, way down, went up that hill, down that hill, then up this hill, and then down that side, and then part way up here, and I'd go up higher because I'm not seeing anything. And now we're cutting across here. So I'm going to cut across this whole mountainside, and then I'll cut left to go back to the vehicle. Maybe we'll see something. I'm starting to doubt, but I shouldn't do that, right? You never know. That's the thing about rock hounding. You never know. And it's a beautiful Memorial Day weekend, and I think it's only fitting that I quote you something to celebrate the day. And this came to my attention because I was driving to the San Rafael Swell to do rock hounding. I have to stop about every hour for Shadow to get out and run around. I took an exit on a little town off I-70. I'd never even heard of this town before. It's called Joseph, and they had a cemetery and a war memorial. And I wasn't going to let Shadow run through the cemetery, but the war memorial had a big open space. So while he was kind of running around, I was perusing the memorial, and they had some really nice granite stones that had the names of all the soldiers that had served in all the various wars that came from that area, carved in it, and the flag was waving, and it was just a very well done little memorial. And then I came across one big granite stone, and on the top it was all smoothed and polished, and then engraved in it were these words, and I do not know the author, but I read it again, I read it again, I memorized it right then and there. I thought it was so profound. It goes like this: it is the soldier, not the minister, who has given us the freedom of religion. It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us the freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us the freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus protester, who has given us the right to protest. It is the soldier, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the soldier, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves under the flag, whose coffin is draped by the flag, who gives the protester the right to burn the flag. Well, we went quite a far ways up that mountain there. I mean, I can't even figure out where we all went right now along all of those hills. We started off on the other side, somewhere over there, and we're gonna walk down. I'm gonna let Shadow play in the water. That way he can cool off. So, I guess I would say that the north side of the upper Enterprise Reservoir area is not a great area for rock hounding. And I gotta tell you, I'm surprised we didn't find something more substantial than what we found, because this area is such a great area to rock hound, but not this spot. But who knows? We'll walk along the shore. We might find stuff yet. Ah, water. I brought a lot of water. I'm tired and I'm hungry, but I'm not thirsty. But Shadow will enjoy this water. He needs to cool off. Sometimes he swims. I found something interesting. It's a lot like what I picked up, you know, at the very beginning of the video, kind of botryoidal, but it's, you know, it's loaded with Chalcedony. So something's forming around here. Let's take this back. Okay, check this out. Full of Chalcedony and kind of botryoidal and bubbly. I have no idea how this was formed, what it was formed in, but what I would like to do is just cut it right across with the saw. See what it looks like inside. It's kind of cool. If you guys have any ideas, please comment. So, and there's a lot of it on this shoreline here. Lots and lots of it. Well, like maybe the majority of the rock is this in this spot. You see all that Chalcedony in there. What is this? Bubbly little holes in it. I'm just curious now more than anything. We're gonna cut it open. We're gonna take it back and we're gonna cut it open. This was pretty cool. That's really cool. This is the rock underneath. Some of it's loose, but some of it's, I mean, it's all this stuff. Really interesting. Look at that. Here's one. Well, that's a really interesting sample right there. We'll take that back. Isn't that cool? So the crazy thing is, we started rock hounding. The first thing we found is exactly what we're finding right now. Clear over on the other side of that cliff where we parked. We hiked all through those mountains and didn't find much of anything, but now we're back to the basic, you know, I mean, we got a ways to go, but we started like on the beach and or close to the beach, and now we're back close to the beach and we're finding this very interesting botryoidal kind of geode-y, you know, sort of nodule-y. I mean, I don't know how to describe it. What would you say? How would you describe it? So literally, like, about half this rock is this kind of rock in various degrees of, well, quality. You know, I'm only picking up the ones that just sort of jump out, look like they're worthy of taking back and trying to figure out what it is. But I mean, this kind of roundy botryoidal, bubbly, whatever it is like everywhere, all along the beach, and obviously coming down from somewhere. Back to that, you know, what kind of rock is this? You can kind of see stuff going on in there too. I mean, that looks a lot like a volcanic rock to me. So cool. A mystery, I love it. I can't go that way. I'm gonna have to go all the way back up and around. Look at that. I didn't even notice that. I heard him, but I didn't realize I was right under it. That's so cool. Alright, we're going to try and make our way this way. I hope this gets us back to the car. Otherwise, we've got a lot of backtracking. This bag is heavy. I put a lot of stuff in it. Whew. I'm worn out. And I put a lot of stuff in the bag. It's heavy. And we've been hiking for many hours. But look, there's the truck and the camper. Now I just got to figure out how to get to it. And it's the only way to get to it is the way we came up. I'll have to take it slow and steady. I don't want to risk an injury. We'll just make our way down this thing. Okay, I'm halfway down this cliff. I'm finding the same stuff. Round, botryoidally. More right there. So, more there. So that's what you find on this side of the Enterprise Reservoir. Look at that. It's got that vein of clear chalcedony right through it right there. Okay, I'm taking that back. It's also darker colored. This is full of jasper. I'm going to cut it open. I'm just making my bag even heavier. Look at that one. This is steep. All right, I got to put the camera away again.
Welcome to the Laboooratory. This is where the real fun takes place. We try to figure out what is it that we found, in this case, up on the north shore of Enterprise Reservoir. This is a mystery, and I think if I solved it correctly, my conclusion may be startling. So let's start at the beginning. We begin to find this globular, grape-like looking cluster of a rock. Curious about what it might be. And we were finding it running in seams of this kind of rock. And what is this? Remember this specific piece, I picked it up and said, this looks a lot like lava to me. Well, it is, as is this. And we were able to confirm it with some reports found online. This one here, I printed it out. Preliminary Geologic Report, Enterprise Reservoir Upper Dam, January 1971. It says that in the vicinity of the reservoir, it includes tuff and volcanic conglomerate. Remember we saw all that tuff? And we saw a lot of various volcanic rock. And then right here, right at the beginning where we started, on the dam, it says the rock exposed in the dam abutment is a reddish-brown silicified rhyolite or dacite. Well, voila. Rhyolite is the most silica-rich of volcanic rock, and dacite is very silica-rich. It's a step down from rhyolite, but it also is a silica-rich lava extrusive rock. You know, lava rock that flows out of a volcano. Now this report just kind of confirms the same thing. This is a really big, voluminous report. Preliminary geologic map of the Enterprise Quadrangle, Washington and Iron Counties, Utah. I'm going to just touch on a couple of quick things here, really mainly one thing in describing the rock in the area. Dacite and andesite are all permissible classifications taking into account standard deviations. So this report is calling out dacite and andesite. Andesite being the least of the silica-rich volcanic rock, but we have one saying, hey, it's andesite or dacite. The other one's saying dacite and rhyolite. And so I'm going with dacite. It's in the middle. And who knows? It doesn't matter. It's volcanic rock. And this is how I think it formed. So picture silica-rich volcanic rock will be very gluey. It doesn't flow like a river, like in a volcano in Hawaii. It's very silica poor. And so it has very low viscosity. It flows like a river. When it hardens, it even looks like water that kind of just flowed and got frozen in space. Well, silica-rich rock has very high viscosity. It's gooey, and so think of it flowing out of a volcano real slowly. And as one, part of it starts to flow over, it might even harden on the surface and kind of get stuck there. The next wave of it kind of comes over that, and then it kind of hardens, but it leaves a pocket inside there, like this, a pocket that would look like that, with air bubbles and things like that. And then over time, geothermal activity washes in silica and fills it in, and it eventually hardens and leaves us with this beautiful rock inside, this beautiful Chalcedony. Now, are we sure it's, an agate as opposed to an opal? So I've hardness tested all of this rock, and I'll show it to you under the electronic microscope. But clearly, a 7 does not scratch it, an 8 does scratch it. This is a 7.5, right there with, agate, chalcedony, and so forth. But there's, more going on in there. Look at that. That white and the red, and there's even some blue going on inside there. Is there barite in there? Is there celestite in there? I tested it all. It's all testing around a 7.5. So I'm going to leave that up to you, but it's beautiful and it's chalcedony, that I'm quite sure. Now, another thing we did is we tested it with UV light. And when you shine, these rock, these geo-looking exposed insides, it's very green. And I tested that white as well. I thought maybe it might be from water hardness after it broke through from its host and it's got exposed to the hard water in this area. That might be like a calcium buildup, but it does not. It does not effervesce in hydrochloric acid. I tested all this stuff in hydrochloric acid. None of it reacts. The white side here or the insides, it doesn't react. It all tests hard at about a 7.5. But it's different when you put it under UV light, especially shortwave UV light. This whitish stuff glows green, green, green. And the inside glows, red. And so what would glow green? What's mixed in with this chalcedony to make it glow green? I don't know for sure. Uranium does generally glow green, and there's a lot of uranium in them. They're hills. A lot of uranium mines around this area back in the day. So maybe there's some uranium in there. Finally, now we're to the end. We know we're dealing with chalcedony. It's beautiful on the inside. It's globular and grapey on the outside, like a grape cluster. What did we find? I think I found a new deposit of grape agate. Grape agate is a term that was used to describe a grape-like clustery rock a lot like this on the San Rafael Swell. Utah was the first to coin that phrase, grape agate. Then a variety of it started coming in from Indonesia that was kind of lavender, and they called it grape agate. But the original grape agate was found right here in Utah. Now it's a couple hundred miles away on the San Rafael Swell. But did I just find another form of grape agate? I mean, that looks a lot like a grape to me on the end of that thing. This looks like a clump of grapes. But inside, it is spectacular. Comment and tell me if you agree. What do you think it is? And I'll tell you, if it is a grape agate, that's pretty cool. They're hard to find. Shadow and I had a great time. We're always happy when you join us on our Adventures of Shadow, and we hope you join us on our future Adventures of Shadow. Have a great day.